My hair being a mess, I'm gonna wear this hat. Just to go through a few things on my latest video before I get to get out the door. Hopefully I don't have a bunch of paperwork I have to do before I get out of here, but oh well. What would you suggest first of his to read? Speaking of Origen of Alexandria, well, first of all, you have to understand, I mean, how early this is, right? He's born in 184 to 185, somewhere in that area. Many people have put at 185 to 254. I put it 184 to 253. Either acceptable or both. I don't want to confuse people by putting both dates, so I just put that one. First you have to really understand how early this is and really what this is telling us about the Christian community. Similar looking at the Gospels of like, okay, you kind of have to, realize this is insanely early stuff. The thing that got me about the Gospels was just that how early they were, and it's like, wow, we're not going to get anything earlier than this to really work with. I mean, it's astounding what we have so early on, and all the stuff seems to back up the Nicene Creed fully, when taken in context, and even Protestants will concede to things like homoousia and Trinity and all this kind of stuff. And what the works are trying to convey, I would say of principles. And that actually almost gives you a format for how to read the Bible and stuff like that. And when you look at the Church Fathers, and you look at the creeds, in light of the Church Fathers, wow, the decisions that were finally settled on were the right ones. That to me in itself is miraculous. First, you said please tell the story of how his mother prevented him from martyring himself. All right. First, I want to address something that nobody brought up in these comments, and that's, I mean, the first videos I made on him years ago, I said, yeah, he's not a heretic, but his writings were condemned as heresy. Then, and that's what I believed for the majority of the time, and then I said, no way, he's a heretic, and then, no, he's not, because even the councils have problems with this, because when they condemn somebody in the name, mainly they're condemning their writings, right? And well, they had to go back and emphasize this with Origen. So you can find somebody say, no, he's clearly a heretic here, and then some say, no, it was cleared up here, and then they said, no, well, this group disagreed with it. Some churches still say the anathema with him, and that, yeah, I'm fine with that, because it's representative of what he was known for, and that those councils, what was debated. Now, if somebody like Nestorius or Arius, they're in a different ballpark than Origen. The story is that his mother hid his clothes. That the father had been martyred. She was worried about her son. Her son was zealous, and you could tell he's very zealous in his early stuff, in his younger life, as most people are. Zealous young man. And his mother hides his clothes, so he can't go out to be, because he wanted to be. I mean, he's almost, in that regard, he's almost a confessor. Confessors are those who are sentenced to death and then survive their sentence. The emperor dies, there's a last reprieve, but they're boldly going to face their death, and they're not martyred. So, and the martyrs gain a very high status in Christianity. And I don't know if it's Tertullian or if it's Celsus or Suetonius that says the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. Somebody warned, saying you can't kill these Christians. You spill their blood, and many of them pop up. because they were willing to die for moral reasons, and Rome was kind of corroding. I mean, Marcus Aurelius has to write about how bad it is, and Marcus Aurelius, who's a pretty bad dude, is talking about the morals. And I mean, even Augustus was worried about the morals of Rome. I mean, Pompeii, Herculaneum, Corinth, these places were whorehouses, basically. In fact, many parts of the city of Rome. And the morality police, or morality codes, were only for the influential families in Rome. The little people really didn't count, and it was such a, I don't want to use the word paradigm shift, or way of thinking about something shift, because with one God, it was morality. Morality is how you communicate with that God. With the pagan gods, and even to a certain extent, certain views of the Old Testament Jewish God, and certain, I mean, views that some Jews view this today is, I just need to appease that one God for that one thing, and he'll give me it. There's no morality attached to it. Or I won't do this, or I won't eat that. That's attached to that God. Or if there is morality, it's to your own group. The Christians, they had to treat the pagans with the same dignity that they did themselves, in the same respect. Now, it doesn't mean they listened to them, or they necessarily wanted to indulge in everything they did, of the baths, of the gymnasiums, of the whorehouses. They set themselves apart of this, but they never looked at, oh, they're you know, they can't be saved, or they're different from us, because it was, yes, the church is saved, but we should go out and help them. Now, the Gnostics took a different view of this and fled, and said, well, they're in darkness, we're in light, and their darkness will corrupt us. That's not what the regular Catholic Christian viewed it as. Apparently, he did give himself the snip. Yikes, it makes my eyes water just thinking about it. I think there's a related comment of, did he really castrate himself, or is that somebody bashing him? I don't think it was someone bashing him. There's people writing about this. Yeah, they're at different times, but they give different reasons, and I think there's some truth in it. I don't think it's because of a verse in is it Matthew, making yourself eunuch, or some born eunuchs, and some will become eunuchs for the sake of God. I don't think it was for that reason, because he wouldn't have read it like that. But then again, you could say, well, young view, old view, right? I think it was a different verse of not the eunuch part, but, you know, if your eye offend thee, if this offend thee. And you could tell he wasn't for struggling against passions. I mean, he comes to realize, no, he actually condemns abstinence, not abstinence, but celibacy. He condemns celibacy as much as he condemns you know, he considers it a sexual immorality too, as much as he condemns, you know, philandering and, you know, sleeping around with a bunch of women, or being adulterous, which actually I do too. I don't condemn, not in that way, but I think abstinence can definitely be a form of sexual perversion, and there's something very Gnostic about it, and very wrong, because it can be just as dangerous. Because, I mean, how many people get on their high horses about, I've never slept with anybody, even, I mean, we've seen this inside the Orthodox Church, even view towards married people as something like, you know, which is a struggle again in the early church. Same struggles going on. I wonder why we have the same problems. But no, it might be, yeah. I mean, if somebody wants to make that argument and really push the point, I'll say, well, it could be that, you know, that didn't happen, but why would the church go to such an effort to say this is not allowed? I mean, I believe initially that is why he didn't become a saint, is because he was known to have been castrated. Now, was it by his own hand, or could have been, it happened that way, and we don't know. But I think it was, it wasn't like that before because his parents were Christian and there's no mutilation in Christianity. Now it could have been the Romans, and this is a far stretch, and this is just my own imagination, try to head this one off. The Romans at a period when they first conquered the Jews, or at least it's said to be this is the reason under Antiochus Epiphanes, and then later on a Roman emperor enacted this, I believe it was Vespasian, was that because they didn't recognize the difference between circumcision and castration. But you would think by the late 2nd century, early 3rd century, and you're talking 185 to 180 or to 250s. Would they know about Jewish culture enough? Would Jewish culture be absorbed enough by Christianity? Well, yes, but would they have forgotten that? Where is he at? I mean, he's at Alexandria, right? And then he goes and lives in Palestine, so this would have been known. Could it be writers in England? Well, there were really no writers in England that much at that time. It was North Africa. These places were, I mean, the 3 most Jewish places were Alexandria, Rome, and Antioch, so it doesn't seem likely that that would be misunderstood. Somebody asked me about if you should read Clement, if I think, well, let me go through this. Eventual sounds attractive enough. I do like the idea of pre-existent soul, but LOL, how should I know? Well, so we confess in the creeds, in the councils, and what has been revealed to us through Scripture and through revelations. Now, if there happens to be some pre-existence of us, does that affect orthodoxy? No, it doesn't. It's just, we're just saying what orthodoxy confirms. It's like saying the contents of the kingdom of God have to be X, Y, and Z. Well, orthodoxy doesn't address that, right? We address here and now and what we can know here and now. And we see through but a glass darkly. So if you were to ask me, is it part of Christianity? I'd say absolutely not. If you said, well, do we, can you believe in a pre-existent soul? Personally, probably. I mean, there's probably a way to do that. Now there's, yeah, again, there's problems with this. Does it mean that every spirit had to err to get here like the Gnostics? I mean, you're going, the reason why it's headed off is you're going really towards Platonism and Neoplatonism. It's the works of Plotinus added into Plato, and Gnosticism, Docetism, right? So it's shaky ground.